everybody. This is Spencer Howland from Constructive Criticism. This is Wednesday Night Warrior, and today is another Tech Talks. So for those who don't know, every so often, I'll go over a deck that had multiple copies in a top 16 or top 8, and actually just talk about the deck that did well at a tournament. So this week, we have GP Brussels happened, and Esper Control both won the event and had 2 in the top 8. So today, I have not looked at these deck lists yet, and we're going to do a live look with me live. I'm just going to talk as I look over the deck lists and think about them, and then talk about my thoughts and compare the 2 different deck lists. They could even be the same 75, I don't know. But we're going to specifically talk about the deck. I've been playing a ton of blue-white control, and Esper control having 2 in the top 8 makes me think that maybe I need to rethink that. Maybe this is the future of the deck. So with that being said, let's go on to, I believe Jeremy Dasani won the event, so we're going to look at his list first. So we have 4 Torrential Gearhulk, 2 Cast Down, 4 Disallow, 3 Essence Scatter, 4 Fatal Push, 1 Forsake the Worldly in the main, 4 Glimmer of Genius. This makes a lot of sense with the 4 Torrential Gearhulk. 1 Negate, 2 Syncopate, 4 Contempt, 1 Search for Esconta, 3 Teferi in the main, 4 Drowned Catacombs, 4 Fetid Pools, 1 Field of Ruin, 3 Glacial Fortress, 3 Eroded Farmlands, 4 Island, 4 Isolated Chapel, 4 Swamp. So one thing that we notice here, in the main deck at least, is that there's only 1 Search for Esconta, and there's actually 0 Scarab God. So a lot of the time you'll see like a 2-3 split between 2 Scarab God, 3 Torrential Gearhulk. No, this is actually just a Torrential Gearhulk deck. I wouldn't even call this a Teferi deck. This is Torrential Gearhulk. I mean, we see the 4 Glimmer of Genius here. You know, we see tons of different types of instant speed effects. You know, whether it's Cast Down, you know, it's very clear what this player is trying to do. And Jeremy is obviously a control master, so you know, something that we should definitely be thinking about. 27 lands, you know, full land count. You want to be able to hit 6 mana for that Torrential Gearhulk. The mana looks pretty simple. Honestly, it looks like a real Esper mana base, right? Like, we have 3 Glacial Fortress, 3 Irrigated Farmland, and then 4 Fetid Pools. Like, it's very much trying to play a tap land on turn 1. Like, that's pretty obvious. And then the 4 Swamps and the 0 Plains indicates that, first of all, there's no sweepers in this deck. I actually didn't notice until this moment. Like, they're not even trying to play sweeper. In fact, the closest thing that we have is this Henner's Expertise in the sideboard. No sweepers in the main, and then just a Yahenni's in the sideboard. So, really trying to dial up that 1-for-1 card advantage between Torrential Gearhulk and Glimmer Genius and kind of pushing you over the edge. The sideboard is 1 Negate, 1 Detention Detection Tower. That's interesting. I don't actually know what that's for. 2 Glint Sleeve Siphoners, 1 Sorcerer's Spyglass, 1 Walking Ballista, 1 Chromium. That's interesting. Can't be countered, so that's obviously why that's in there. But also, if you discard a card, it protects itself. So that's why that's in there. So that's pretty interesting for the mirror. 3 Duress, 2 Jace's Defeat, 2 Vizier, giving you a little bit more of that card advantage engine we were talking about. So this deck is like straight up 1-for-1, get extra off of my Glimmer Genius, Torrential Gearhulk, Teferi control deck. No sweepers. You know, if 1-for-1 removal is bad in this matchup, the deck's probably just bad. Like, there's no getting around it. It's probably pretty weak to go white strategies, to be honest. But, you know, I think that if you think that Fog is going to completely take the green decks out of the format, right, those mono green decks, this is a good option. Let's go on to the other Esper control deck. This deck list is slightly different. We have, once again though, it's 4 Torrential Gearhulk, 3 Teferi. The 24 lands are a little bit different. 1 less Glacial Fortress, 1 more Irrigated Farmland. And then we have 1 Censor, 4 Disallow, 2 Essence Scatter, 4 Fatal Push, 4 Glimmer, 2 Hieroglyphic Illumination, really going all in on those 2-for-1s. 1 Negate, 3 Syncopate, 4 Vraska's Contempt, 1 Search for Esconta. Very similar decks, but if we look at this, you know, we have those cast downs in this deck. You know, the Forsake the Worldly, playing more interactive spells, while Watapa is playing, you know, those Hieroglyphic Illuminations, the real difference. The sideboard is also quite different. Only 1 Duress. Infernal Reckoning is one that I would be interested to know what he was specifically trying to target. Like, what's the colorless creature that we're worried about? I'm trying to think what these Reckonings would be for. And I, like, are they for Scrap Heap Scrounger? I actually don't know. So, like, Scrap Heap Scrounger, Walking Ballista, I don't think they're for bow mats. I actually don't know. I am not as smart as Waffle Tapa. I would be interested to know what they're for. Eldest Reborn is interesting in the sideboard. We have more Glacier Siphoners actually like that. They also have Detection Tower as an extra land. I'm trying to think of why. It could just be the number of Vine Mares. Like, the total number of Vine Mares plus, other cards could be good. We do have a different sweeper in here. We have the White Cleansing Nova Sweeper. That makes a lot of sense to me. Overall, these sideboards are extremely different, but the main deck game plans are pretty close to the same. One of the things that I think of when I look at a control deck is like, what am I trying to ignore? What am I saying doesn't matter, and what part of the metagame am I trying to attack? And these decks are very streamlined, which makes me think that they're specifically targeting two decks. They're specifically targeting Red-Black, and they're specifically targeting Turbo Fog. The total number of syncopates in these lists, 3 syncopate plus 2 in the other list, plus negates and stuff like that, I think that they're trying to say, like, you're not going to resolve it to Fairy, we're going to make your other cards hard to resolve, we're going to get an early Torrential Gearhulk down, and then late in the game we'll be able to resolve another Torrential Gearhulk plus a counter spell to stop you from doing what you're doing. I think that's their game plan. Do I think that game plan is good? I don't know, but I think that's their game plan against Turbo Fog. And it is a reason to play for Torrential Gearhulk. Getting to interact at instant speed is really powerful. The problem is that a lot of times when you try and cast your Torrential Gearhulk during their end step, they just respond with that, with that Time Walk. So that means your Torrential Gearhulk really costs 8 to 9 mana, because you need to also leave up a Disallow or a Negate or a Syncopate or something like that. Syncopate obviously being the best of those. But that is one of the reasons to play more Syncopate. And then against the red aggro decks, I actually think it doesn't matter what version of control you play. I actually think they have a bad control matchup. And even more so because they think they have a good control matchup, I think it actually makes it worse for them. Unless they're all in on we can even just look at this deck is good against control, though. Mono red aggro is actually quite good against it. But if we look at, like, the black-red deck, let's go to this one. It's only playing 2 Chandra, so, like, the games that it has to win are those Scrap Heap Scrounger Chandra games. Now, Unlicensed Disintegration, if you're playing for Torrential Gearhulk, it goes up a lot in value. But, I just think that, in my experience playing Control so far, I just want to hit red-black every matchup. I think that, 1, they think they have a good matchup, and they don't. And 2, my cards just line up really well. And then, if we introduce Fatal Push into that mix, I would assume the matchup would be even better. Both of these decks are really saying, like, you're not going to resolve creatures against me, and they're not going to stay in play, so you need to win some other way. And they just don't have enough Planeswalkers, Heart of Tyrants, and other things to, like, actually make it work. Scrap Heap Scrounger is so much better against Esper than it is against Blue-White. So that actually could become a problem card for you, but if you can keep things real and stop things from hitting the graveyard, or manage your life total correctly, there's no reason for me to believe that this matchup would be any worse. Now, that being said, if we look at, like, the mono-red deck, this deck seems really good against any of the control decks you play, right? Because Hazoret's insane, you're playing Rekindling Phoenix, you're playing all these 1-drops, extra 1-drops, things like that, plus Scrap Heap Scrounger, plus after sideboard, I still get to do tons of different things. Although, if we actually look at both of these sideboards, the black-red version has Duress. This mono-red deck, while it is playing Scrap Heap Scrounger, and that could be correct, it's just playing them off of those 4 Dragon's Summit, so the way that it's going to try and beat control is going to be boarding up into Planeswalkers, right? Which is still fine. Like, I think that this deck has a significantly better control matchup. That being said, what do we learn from Waffle Tapa and Jeremy Dazani's lists? I think that we learned that there are some percentage of pros right now that believe that Torrential Gearhulk control is the correct choice in the local meta. Or not even your local meta, just whatever meta you're playing in. And honestly, in testing, Torrential Gearhulk has been one of the best cards in Blue-White control. I've tried to play 2 of them, and I could just be wrong. Like, maybe I'm just supposed to go all out Jeskai or Esper control Just play Torrential Gearhulk and be like, nobody's actually ready to beat this card. Like, let's just beat them with this, and like actually clock them, right? 5 a turn is a lot with Torrential Gearhulk, and if you can do it on their end step and back it up, like that's a big game. That's a lot of things that you get to do. So that's kind of my thoughts here. One Search Rares can't unleash list. They're not trying to win with that, as you can tell, because they're playing 4 Torrential Gearhulks, right? So the majority of their win conditions can't be even grabbed with that, and then they're playing so much spot removal that it makes, the flip side a little bit worse. We also see that none of their lands actually get them an additional card advantage. Their card advantage is trying to come from Torrential Gearhulk. It is not like those Pull from Tomorrow blue-eyed decks. These are different control decks, closer to control decks that we saw, a season and a half ago with Torrential Gearhulk. That's what's happening here. Completely new look to control, in my opinion, in the current meta. Obviously, it's close to older versions of the deck, but very interesting to say the least. Leave a comment, let me know what you think about control in this metagame, and specifically what these guys are doing with Esper control. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Don't forget to check out Pure MTGO, and also, don't forget to check out our other sponsor at Ink Gaming. You can use the code CCMTG10 at checkout. Gives us a little bit of kickback, helps us out. So, thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll see you guys all next week with another Wednesday Night Warrior.